Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Proper Football Podcast. You join us again on a Thursday evening. As I say, I'm joined this evening by vlogging royalty, Mr. Darren Ashley, and we're also joined by manager of MK Irish, massive season for them, Mr. Terry Shrieves. Good evening, gentlemen. Darren, how are you, sir?
Very well, mate. I still can't. I can't keep a straight face when you introduce me as vlogging royalty, but I'll take that every day.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And how we doing, Terry? Thanks for joining us this evening, my friend.
Very well, thank you. Good evening, chaps.
Good evening.
Good evening, Phil.
Guys, we've got a lot to get through this evening. Some big topics. We're going to start off in the Europa League. Two British clubs, or English clubs rather, in the final of that one. So really successful season for those two clubs in that competition. I think that's the only competition they've been successful in this season, but we will get there. We're going to be looking at also a big announcement coming out of Liverpool. Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's running away from there, and reports that he's going across to Real Madrid. We're going to be looking at the treatment that he's received from the Liverpool fans on the back of that. We have a quick roundup of the EFL playoffs as well, and then we're going to jump into non-league. We'll be looking at the non-league finals day. We're going to be looking at Truro City and their journey from no permanent home to promotion. They were relegation candidates at the start of this season and they've achieved so much. And then we're also going to pick Terry's brain a little bit as well on what he does with MK Irish and some initiatives that he's brought in to that club. But without further ado, we'll jump straight into it because it is about right. So Europa League final, two English clubs, obviously really good for the English game. However, Darren, I want to come to you on this one, mate, because I know obviously you've got your your view on the competition as a whole. Number one, I'm just going to pop up the Premier League table just to have a little look here because we've got Man United there, 16th, Spurs 17th, 38 and 39 points respectively. Now, Spurs have lost 20 matches in the Premier League this season, and they're in the final of a European competition. So firstly, Darren, what does that say for the competitiveness of that competition, do you think?
Well, that certainly says that Spurs are better in that competition than they are in their domestic competition. Tell, funny enough, is a Spurs fan, so he'd be better qualified because he probably watches them week in, week out. But yeah, it on the outset, it looks pretty poor, doesn't it? That teams are so lowly in the Premier League still getting to a European final. But all said and done, I've always maintained, even in the Champions League, the best team. The team that wins it aren't necessarily the best team in Europe. It's just a cup competition. That's what this is. And sometimes you need a bit of luck in cups. And that's what Manchester United and Tottenham probably had along the way. But they've got to the final on merit.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. They've obviously been the best team in all of the games that they've played in that competition, both sides, in order to be there. But it's just sort of like, obviously they earned the right to be there with their league positions last season. But you look at the league positions this season, it's two teams that we expect so much more of. Do they deserve? Okay, they won their games, but surely you're looking at other clubs as more deserving of being there. I'll come to you, Terry, as a Spurs fan. What do you make of that on the whole, mate?
Well, I think the Premier League, as it is the strongest league in the world. And these sides in the past, when I thought Tottenham should have prioritised certain cup competitions or league games, they didn't. They just wanted to qualify for the Champions League. Now they're struggling near the bottom of the league. The fans are desperate to win something. I disagree with a lot of the way the club's been run, and not only the club, the league is run, and Europe. Because a couple of years ago, was it they was on about the Super League, and there was a big outcry. They're not going to do that, but that's what's being created at the moment. So it's all money based.
Yeah, no, I think that's sort of common knowledge, and has been for a long time now. Obviously, the money in the game. But what I'm interested to understand from yourself, obviously, you say about the Super League and all the rest of it. We've now got sort of this elitist competition in the Premier League, the Champions League, which isn't actually a Champions League because you finish third, fourth, and fifth in the Premier League, and you still get in there. So it's not a Champions League at all. We've already gone there. But the Europa League as a whole, what do you think about that? Because we're contributing to European teams and their growth and European football's growth. But what about the English game?
Well, the English game is becoming a close shot, in my opinion. The Premier League, the teams that come up generally go back down again. It takes them, and then they get payments when they go back down for the next 2 or 3 years. It just seems like they want to keep it the same. I know there is promotion and relegation, and there isn't when you go to the States, but it seems like that's what they're trying to create. So there is no promotion and relegation, and just the bigger clubs get bigger, and the weaker clubs get weaker. I think there's still a lot of money outstanding from Premier League going into non-league football, and the Premier League is awash with money. They can afford to throw in coaches. People, I don't know how many physios they have in the club. I know when I've been to Premier League games that there's like 30 people sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
It's still the football's still, the game's still the same, still 11 aside, but there's so many people backing everything up, picking up water bottles, and it's a wash with money, but it just doesn't seem to filter down. It seems like they want to keep it all at the top.
I agree.
Yeah, no, I think I certainly feel the same, Darren. I know that you do as well. But there's a cracking comment in there from Gareth Williams. Gareth, good evening to you, mate. I know you watch along with us on a regular basis, buddy. So thank you very much for tuning in to us again. 2 poor Premier League sides in the final. What does it say for the rest of the teams competing in it from the other leagues? And yeah, that's an absolutely brilliant shout. If we've got 2 teams right at the bottom of the Premier League and they've made the final, what does that say, Darren, for the other teams competing in that competition?
It means that they've been knocked out by 2 rubbish teams along the way. That's what it means. Listen, I think everyone's getting their knickers in a twist over this. A bit before your time, Tom, but when West Ham won the FA Cup, most of the things you bring
up are a bit before my time.
Yeah, when West Ham won the FA Cup in 1980, they were a second division team, so they qualified for the Cup Winners' Cup. Still, as a second division team, don't think it really matters where you are currently. It's how you do. I've got no problem. Like I said last week's show, I won't bang on about it, but I happen to think at least if they go into the Champions League, they're a champion of something. Whereas the likes of Aston Villa, if they get in it, they won't be a champion of anything this season. Arsenal won't be a champion of anything this season. So, I look at it that way. And to be honest with you, like you touched on earlier, the name Champions League's a bit of a sham anyway, isn't it? I much prefer the olden European Cup days.
Yeah. Okay. Look, we'll leave that one there. I think, like you say, we're all sort of aligned in our thinking to a certain point. If it was up to me, you just ban European competition of that level on the head. Champions League is for your champions. You have a secondary European competition, and that's for the team that finishes second. Do that across all the leagues in the world, and then everybody gets the same. Well, across Europe rather, and everybody gets the same opportunity. But hey ho, we're not going to dwell on that one too much. Another topic, big one coming out of Liverpool. Trent Alexander-Arnold will be departing the club at the end of the season, and I think he's received a bit of a backlash from the Liverpool fans. They played against Arsenal at the weekend, as obviously yourselves and anybody watching will know. That was a good game. I was out in obviously non-league day, and I was looking at it on my phone a little bit as I was taking in non-league, which of course is much more important to me. But just have a watch of this and just get your thoughts on what you think to this.
Number 21, Costas Silicash. Number 66, Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Now that there, obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold being booed by the home fans at Anfield when his name was announced as a, he was only a sub as well. Gosh, it was worse when he came on the pitch. But yeah, booed there. What do you think to that, Dan? I know he's leaving the club, but does he deserve that?
Well, you got to walk a mile in a Liverpool fan's shoes to understand the culture and the environment. Looking out from the outside, he's won everything. He's never badmouthed them. He's actually, if he was going to Everton, Manchester United, you could understand it. But look, he's going to the biggest club in the world. These opportunities don't come by very often. He's at an age now where, he wants to get the most out of his career. He's still not necessarily loved in this country, really, is he? Like, even as a right back, he's always getting criticised. He gets put into midfield for England, he gets criticised. I don't know, maybe he wants a break from it. But it's probably just a load of old pantomime, isn't it, to be honest with you?
Yeah, you're probably right in fairness, but I've seen again. Obviously, we all look at socials, and we all know that football fans are fickle, especially at that level. But I look at it and I just think I'm just going to pop something up for you guys now. That's the list of his honours since he came through. I think he made his debut in the 2016-17 campaign. He's played over 350 times for the club since then. He's contributed to all of their success since then. There's a number of individual honours there as well to go along with the trophies that he's won with Liverpool. What do you think to that, Tel? Because he's contributed hugely.
Well, football, like you just said, football fans in this, well, I think in every country are very, very fickle. Liverpool are renowned for having the best player in every position, and when they leave, they give them that. You know, when being an ex-footballer, you know that when you play well, you get a pat on the back, and when you don't do well, you don't do what other people want you to do or the fans want you to do. You get the piss taken out of you, or you get a bollocking. That's football. You've got to have. I think that's why the top players, they've got a thicker skin. You have to have a bit of a thick skin and the character. It just washes off. So you can't let that affect you, otherwise you wouldn't play.
No, I respect that completely, but he's definitely one of their own. You know, he's a local lad. He came through the youth ranks, and he's barely put a foot wrong during that period of time. He's been a great servant to that. Okay, a very well paid servant to that club, but a good servant, you know, nonetheless. So, you know, we all have players come and go. There's a really good comment there from Nick Paul, again, who joins us regularly. So good evening to you, Nick, mate. Yeah, and I'll pop that up for us to have a little look at there. Players come and go. He's been a good player for Liverpool over the years. He's been there, so quite disappointing from the Liverpool fans. Yeah, can completely agree with that. I think those that are giving him stick should have a real look at themselves. But equally, if there's anybody watching along that's on the other side of the coin there, and you've got a bit of a different view to that, jump in the comments, because I think that's definitely a worthwhile debate there.
But when I was younger, I was told by senior players, and you're just a piece of meat. If you're not playing well, they don't want you. If you are playing well, they want to play. They want to play you all the time, and then they moan if someone else comes in for you. It's just one of them things. You're always trying to better yourself. Is he bettering himself by going to Real Madrid? Like Darren said, biggest club in the world, most successful club in the world. It's great to have that on your CV. I don't think many players would turn that down.
Well, you cast your mind back, and Michael Owen did exactly the same thing, didn't he? That's obviously some years ago, prior to the sort of social media wave, if you like. But I don't remember him getting any major stick off the back of that. Like, he got some stick when he went and played for Man United in the end, I think, but that's understandable. But when he went from Liverpool to Real Madrid, you know, he didn't get any major stick like that. So, yeah, another strange one, just another mystery of the football world.
Tom, I think you hit the nail on the head, mate. You talked about Michael Owen. It was before social media. But obviously social media now whips up a frenzy, doesn't it? And, you know, only 5 people have got to read it. They retweet it. And then next thing you know, you've got a booing contingent, haven't you?
Yeah. Crazy. Another good point made there by Gareth. Do you think if he's under contract and leaves for a fee, the reaction would be different? I'll put that question straight to you, Darren.
I've heard it said that some of the Liverpool fans, that's the reason why they're booing, because they've got nothing for him. He's a local lad. He's come through the ranks, and Liverpool are gaining nothing out of the transfer. To be honest with you,
who should they be mad with? So who should they be upset with then? The club or the player?
Well, this is it. If I'm a football fan, and I am a football fan, I don't worry about what's in the bank for my club. I worry about the performances on the pitch and the results. You didn't hear Manchester United fans go on about Glazers when they were winning the league, or it was only a small noise, wasn't it? But now they're unsuccessful on the pitch. That's what you hear it time and time again. I can't really understand that all these fans are suddenly taking a huge interest in all the club's finances, whether they get a fee from him or whether they don't.
But is that down to the evolution of the game? And finance has always been an important part of the game, don't get me wrong. But I think it talks more now than what it ever has.
Yeah.
So do you think, I'll come to you on this one, Terry, do you think that's why your average football fan is looking more and more into the financial side now?
I don't know. It all started off with the Bosman ruling, didn't it? So players know they can, rather than get a transfer and maybe get a little bit more money, they know if they run their contract down, that transfer fee becomes their signing on fee. And if you're earning 20 grand a week, do you need 40 grand a week? How much money do you need to live on? But I understand these players, they look at it and think their career is going to be over by the time they're 30, 35. They want to accumulate as much money as possible so they have a better life. But even when you finish playing football, you still have to find something to do. And having loads of money, does it make it easier? You still have to be occupied. Otherwise, that's why a lot of ex-professionals get bankruptcy, gambling, drink addictions, things like that, because they've got too much money. Don't. In my experience, you have to have a little bit of debt to get up in the morning, and you have to enjoy what you're doing and roll your sleeves up and get on with it. If you sit around because you've got too much money doing nothing, you become a potato.
The more money that comes, the more temptations that present themselves, the more open you are to making poor decisions, because the opportunities naturally are presented to you are more higher risk. But yeah, really, really good insight there, Terry. Thank you very much, mate. We'll jump into the comments quickly there because Gareth's been on again. I'm a Cardiff fan. I'm a Cardiff fan, so not really qualified to talk about the Premier League. And he's also jumped in there. We've got a trip to Northampton to look forward to. Absolutely, mate. We'll be meeting you boys in the league next season. I'm sure you're not too pleased about that. I'm pleased about it though, because we get to come down to South Wales and visit a nice ground. And if you're up this way or I'm down your way, mate, we'll link up for a pint, buddy. 100%. We'll do that. Okay, so moving away from that, I just wanted to jump into some playoff-related stuff. We'll just touch quickly on the Football League, and then we're going to move into non-league after that. We'll do a full review of the Football League playoffs on our next show next Thursday when they've concluded, and then we can just sort of bang it all together in one piece. But we had obviously some massive games and some top results, well, depending on which end of the scale you're on, last night. We'll start in the Championship with Sunderland and Coventry. What a bit of drama that was. Did you manage to catch any of that, Darren?
No.
What, due to no interest or due to being busy or what?
Bit of both, really. Yeah. I mean, I'm almost a bit disinterested about my team, QPR, let alone someone else in the Championship. Look, I wanted. I was talking to someone at work today about the fact I wanted Coventry to actually go up, so I was a bit disappointed because Sunderland were for a spell a bit of a yo-yo club, and Coventry, like when I started getting into football. Coventry were an ever-present in the top division for quite a while. It's like when Forest came up a couple of years ago. I was quite pleased. It just sort of like took me back to when I first started to fall in love with football. And that was the reason why I wanted Coventry to go up. But, yeah, I didn't lose any sleep over it.
That's how I feel about it. And I think we touched on it on last week's show as well, didn't we? That you got like the founder member sort of clubs all climbing up a little bit more now. Obviously, Coventry, Sunderland, they're in the Championship playoffs. Sheffield United, they're a historic club. They're in the final. That's going to be a massive game between them.
Another yo-yo club.
Yeah, again, Terry made that point, didn't he? They'll get paid when they inevitably go back down, and then inevitably in a couple of seasons they'll be back again. that's just seems to be the circle of life in the top 2 tiers of English football. But generally speaking as well, you drop into the Championship, and obviously Birmingham back up. They usually yo-yo in between the Championship and the Premier League. I don't think they'll go back down into League One. I think they'll be up there pushing for promotion into the Premier League. They're heavily backed. But you've got the bigger clubs pushing back up, like your Bradford, for example. You know, huge for them this season. You've got Coventry, Sunderland there. Reading obviously had a good season. Birmingham coming back into the Championship there as well. You know, the old boys are really sort of pushing back up. Leeds back in the Premier League. So it's good and it's not in a way, depending on sort of what generation you're from. Probably depends on how you feel about it, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But look, Orient as well. Stockport, that was another nail biter right on the knife's edge, wasn't it? Obviously went into penalties. Orient 4-1 on penalties, and I'll pop up a bit of footage in a second. But did you manage to catch any of that one, Terry, or is Orient a bit of a swear word to you being a Millwall boy?
No. I try to watch football as much as I can. Some of it's very, very boring, I think, because I think it's been watered down so much. It's on all the time, so there's not really nothing to look forward to. I saw the end of the Sunderland game last night. I didn't see the Orient game. No.
Okay. Well, you got there as it was last minute when it equaliser, which obviously in a last minute of extra time equaliser, wasn't it? Dan Ballard, big Dan Ballard, big centre half, sort of reminds me of like a big Dan Burns sort of vibe. When I look at him, and yeah, he popped up with a towering header. But just have a look at this footage from the Sunderland fans. I picked up a pitch invader. Just watch his invasion, and watch him at the end. I think that's brilliant. The knee slide at the end there was top notch. Top notch. He saw his moment. He saw his moment for a bit of fame, and bang, he grabbed it.
Yeah. Whole pitch invasion is funny, you know. Like, listen, they are a dangerous thing, and like, be careful what I say here, because I know Tel does a tremendous job looking after Milton Keynes Irish's pitch. But yeah, when I've been on a football pitch, a league pitch in my time, it's a really big thrill, actually, because I was nowhere near good enough to actually play on one. So the next best thing is to run on it, full time.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go. We've all got to live our dream in one way or another. You're either good enough or you're not. And if you're not, get on there and live your dream. You did it, he did it, and I'm here for it, mate. Absolutely. Another comment in there. Stephen Bates, good evening to you, buddy. Pops up with a comment. Sunderland will lose to Sheffield United. Yes, I think that's a fair prediction. Sheffield United. But for me, though, they lost a couple of key games towards the back end of the season. So it'll be interesting to see how they cope with that pressure, because they couldn't handle it at the back end when they were sat in the automatic promotion places. They lost a couple and dropped out. So, yeah, that one's 50-50. That's on a knife edge, that one for me. But we'll go back to Orient and Stockport as well. We've got some footage sent in to us, I believe. And make of it what you will. It's the last gasp, obviously, goal. And the last penalty to win it. Just have a look at the limbs here. Quality. We've got to find the right clip now. Dodgy footage, but I think he's got the phone in his hand here, like that, and he's just lost it completely, and he, top quality. But I love a bit of that. I do. think that's brilliant. Honestly, I do. Uh, you ever had any of them, Terry, been on a pitch celebrating or just going mad in the stands or anything like that, mate?
Oh, loads of celebrations well, especially when I was younger. But the playoffs, I think, is a great idea. It keeps it goes right down to the middle of the league, right for the last 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, whatever. It's not very being involved in the playoffs last season. It's not very good when you're 20 points in front of third place and you get knocked out by a team that's pulled in a load of well, not ringers, but they're dual regs.
Say it.
They're not ringers. They're dual regs from a higher level, and you've stuck with the same group of lads you've had all season. It's much more pleasing to win the league, but I can understand. I know the people down at London Lions who went up through the playoffs, who played all their players by the way. But the euphoria of winning the playoff, you're winning a cup game. And getting promotion, it's the euphoria of doing that is great. The last 6 weeks of the season for us, there was no playoffs because we'd already won the league, and so it becomes a bit of an anticlimax the last 6, 7 games. You know what I mean? But for the fans, playoff games are brilliant if you win them.
Definitely. Can I ask you a quick question? So last season, you said you was 20 points clear and got knocked out in the playoffs by FC Romania. Okay?
That's right. Yeah.
So this season, you've gone on and won the league, and FC Romania got relegated.
Yeah.
Was there a slight wry smile over that?
Not really. It's just you can't as a football manager. Well, you're running a club. You can't just work on one season. You have to have a plan. And if we've got a few people at our club, we could have probably got a few quid together and probably had 1 or 2 really good seasons. But then when that stops, then the bubble bursts and you fall right back down again. You can only plan, in my opinion, the biggest teams are the ones with the biggest fan bases. So you just mentioned 2 there with Sunderland and Sheffield United, massive clubs, loads of fans. And they're working their way back up, but the money has to be spent responsibly. You can't over budget. You have one good season, then you can't afford them players. I think was it Bristol City years ago? Bristol Rovers went right through the leagues, got to the Division 1, signed all their players on 10-year contracts, and went all the way down again. And then players stopped performing. They lost all their money over it. So it's poor management from the club, in my opinion. You can only budget what you're going to do depending on your fan base.
Yeah, that's a fair shout. Yeah, that's a really fair shout. And also on the subject, Terry, we'll come to you, mate, because obviously I know that you've got a bit of a philosophy, certainly sort of on finances, and obviously reward that goes out to your players. And whilst we're not going to talk about who gets paid what, I just want to tap into that philosophy and understand the thinking behind. Because you guys have got a bit of a unique pay structure, certainly for the players. Just run me through that briefly and the logic behind it, mate.
Well, all we pay is a win bonus at the moment. Obviously, we're going into the Southern League. We'll have to change that structure a little bit. But because we've had a bit of success and we have a few people watch us now, and we've got a few more sponsors involved, we can afford to change that. Win or lose next season, we'll keep our head above water financially. We're not gonna prostitute ourselves and run out of money halfway through the season. Hopefully, the better we do with the wage structure, the way we do it, the better we do, the more people watch us, and then we can increase the bonuses the season after, maybe.
Okay, but because you're obviously up against it financially, there's obviously people paying more at the same step as you. So how do you sort of remain competitive on the pitch? What are the methods behind the scenes to ensure that you remain competitive whilst pushing that pay structure?
Well, because we're in Milton Keynes, most of the players live within 10, 15 minutes of the club, so they don't have real travelling expenses. I remember myself as a youngster playing in different towns, and it'd probably take me 3/4 of an hour to get there. and you've got to go there 3 times a week. That's a Tuesday, Thursday, and a Saturday, and that you might think you're earning a few quid out of it, but that's where your money goes in your travelling expenses and your time. All our lads, like I say, we've got 2 lads live 100 yards away from the ground.
Nice.
Yeah, they live in the estate over the back of the ground. We've got other lads that they're all Milton Keynes. Anywhere in Milton Keynes at the right time of day is 10 or 15 minutes top whack. So we don't have an issue with that. They can finish their jobs whatever time they finish their work and still get to training. It's not like they get home from work at 6:30 and they're late and then they've got an hour's drive to get to training. It don't work like that. You know, we're all local. And Milton Keynes is a massive town now, so we should be able to have the call on players of a better standard.
And when you're looking at new players and obviously decision making, because you're not going to be the only club interested in certain players, they'll have other offers and such like. How much does geography play a part in these players' decisions, do you think?
Well, if it's costing them too much money to get there, then obviously they ain't going to sign for us. But there's lads, I know there's lads in Milton Keynes playing in the conference, North, the Conference South, Southern Prem. They're playing all levels of football. There's young lads from Milton Keynes involved with Premier League clubs. Well, they don't just go Premier League and then no one. Do you know what I mean? They're North Bucks. There's players at all levels, all the way down. So we're trying to get to a better level of football, so we can have pull the strings on some of them players. They want to come and play for us. They might not get as much money, but they'll be more local, so they won't have so much expenditure, and their time. They save their time. But we're not at that position yet, but hopefully we will be.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's all really, really good insights into the workings and what goes on. But obviously on the pitch, it's been a really successful season. You've managed to remain competitive. You walked the league in the end. You're moving up into sort of step 4 next season, if I'm right. Has the planning for that already began?
Yeah, well, we started, to be honest, they're not talking out of school. We started planning for it the end of last season because we come up against Real Bedford, who had massive purse strings, and we competed with them up till the end of the season. We fell away near the end because we didn't have the strength in depth. This season, like, the attitude of the players have been fantastic. We lost a couple of players to Real Bedford, but we signed 3 or 4 older players, and they've come in, haven't played all the time, but their attitude and their experience and their information to the younger players is invaluable. So they become your on-field coaches. So they're educating the younger lads how to get through games and professionalism. And this season, I think we won't be. We started planning for them because, like I say, in the last season we just missed out, and it would have been easy for 4 or 5 of them lads to think, "Oh, we're off." You know what I mean? We can get more money somewhere else, which I would have totally understood. But they decided to stick with us, and we stormed the league this season from the very first game. We were excellent. We had a good pre-season in friendlies. We had a good run in the FA Cup. We played a step 3 side, Canvey Island, in the FA Cup and narrowly beat in the last minute away. So we've held our own no matter who we've played against. And the lads I've got with me, they're keen to play the next level of football. They've been telling me they want to play the next level of football for the last 2 or 3 years. Now's their opportunity. So we can see if they're good enough or not.
Absolutely, mate. Well, I take my hat off to you and everybody within the club, mate, because the infrastructure and the way that you do things is commendable from what I hear and from what you've explained, mate. So, yeah, congratulations and hats off to you and everybody involved, as I say, mate.
Thank you.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Right, we'll move into...
Just ask Terry a very quick question.
Yeah, of course it is, mate, yeah.
Obviously, Terry, you touched on you went neck and neck with Real Bedford the season before last. Obviously, they went up in the end. They've stormed their league, so they've gone up to now step 3, haven't they? So does that give you, obviously you're going into step 4, does that give you like a barometer of what you can do next season?
Well, I hope so. With football, as you've heard people say, it's a funny game. 2 or 3 injuries, or you lose 1 or 2 players through someone else comes in for them, which that's football. That happens at every level. it seems to be when someone comes in for your players, they don't usually come in for the worst ones. They come in for the best ones.
Yeah.
But if you take two best players out of any team in the world, they're not the same team. So we're hoping we can keep hold of our players. They know the sketch. They know what we've done over the last 4 or 5 seasons. We're not really going to change the style we play. We might have to be a little bit more what's the word? A bit more conservative. We won't be able to go out all guns blazing all the time because you're playing against bigger, better opposition, lads with more experience, and they'll have to learn to manage the game. But that's experience. You learn that as you get older. You just hope you don't get too old before you learn it. So if they can pick it up while they've still got the legs to do it, we should be all right for probably the next season or two. Yeah.
Good,
Excellent.
good, yeah. Excellent, mate. Really, really good. Gareth's been on in the comments again. There sounds a good model in place at MK Irish, and best of luck for next season, Terry.
Thank you.
There you go. All good, all good. Right, we'll jump into a bit more non-league stuff. We'll have a little look at the National League North and South, the playoffs and whatnot. They're obviously well underway, pumping and jumping. I've got some results to prop up in front of us there. And just having a look at those there, whilst obviously the results are bang in front of us, I think what's really, really important to look at is the attendances. This is obviously the National League North and South, the semi-finals, and you look at Scunthorpe and Chorley there, just under 6,500 people. Darren, I know that obviously you've touched on a number of times, man, how the non-league game is obviously is growing. More and more people are gravitating towards it. But those numbers are beyond what I expected, and are they beyond what you expected, or is that where you want the game to be?
Well, them being ex-Football League members, I'm not really surprised. Obviously, Sniff of Glory brings out fans, doesn't it? You know, business end of the season, your team's doing well, you're just going to get more fans in. I'm not surprised, but I'm still delighted by seeing them numbers from Scunthorpe and Kidderminster.
Because you look at when you look at the football pyramid as a whole, that's tier 6. That's the 6th division, effectively.
Yeah.
You're not getting that in any other sport in any other country. For me,
No,
that is phenomenal support.
The strength of the English non-league game is second to none. It's incredible, and it's just on an upward trajectory. I don't know what Tel thinks about being in non-league and that, but have you noticed anything different? More fans coming through the turnstiles, Tel?
Well, we definitely got a few more at our club, although there's plenty of room now. We've done a bit of work, so there's plenty of room for a lot more. But I think in regards non-league football in general, the fans get a chance to meet the players. When it's professional football, there's no chance of socialising with the players. I don't think whatever level it is. When you come down to non-league football, I know most clubs have 2 bars, and if you're lucky enough, you can get in the players' bar. And with our club, everyone mingles together, and the fans do like talking to the players. It's not just aloof. They're not just on the pitch, and you can talk to them in the bar after the game, or even some of the players stay out and have a chat with them. I think it's brilliant, and I think that's what the professional game has changed with. Where back in the day when I was a kid, my old man used to take me to Tottenham, and they said some of the players would be in the pub over the road after the game. That don't happen anymore. That's long gone. That is whether it's because the fans, they can't trust the fans, or they don't feel comfortable in there having a beer with them. If you play badly and you have a beer, the fans start moaning. You're still a normal person. You still like to have a beer sometimes, especially when you've exerted yourself. But I think that's the difference between non-league and professional football. You get to socialise with the fans a lot more.
Yeah. Your heroes. If you're a youngster watching these players, your heroes are accessible. Obviously, I was at AFC Rushden and Diamonds on their final game of the season for their community day, and the children that played in the youth sides, which they run right from reception age all the way up to sort of men's football, they were encouraged to be on the pitch at the end. Obviously, everybody was on the pitch, but there was at least 100 kids that play in their youth ranks on the pitch, mingling with the players, selfies, having a chat. I even heard some of the kids pressuring the players. What are you doing next season? Are you going to be here? And it was honestly brilliant. Like, no, you're staying here, mate, sort of thing. Yeah, kids acting as agents and that. But like you say, that's what you get with non-league football, isn't it? But look, moving into so we'll just touch back on the fixtures. I'll just pop that back up to have a look at some of the other attendances because they're worthy of mention. 100%. Kidderminster there are just over 4,500. Torquay 5,721. And then just over 3,000 for Eastbourne Borough for their game against Maidstone as well. So those numbers there, I know, like you say, Darren, obviously it's toward the back end of the season and obviously people get a sniff of success and then all of a sudden they want to jump on the bandwagon type thing. But regardless of that, it's revenue for the club. So regardless of the reason that those people are there, it can only be seen as a positive from my perspective. But another thing that's interesting there, and before we go to that, actually, I'll pop this up in front of us. Obviously, these are the fixtures for the finals, which you probably worked out from looking at the previous picture, in fairness. But just as confirmation, they're due to take place on the 18th, Sunday the 18th of May, which is obviously going to be another big day and a huge advert for non-league football. But before we move away from those playoffs, I've got here. No, that's not it. Do I have it here? I might not have it here. I do have it here. That's not it either. That's it. There we go. I'm channeling my inner Gary now, aren't I, with the technology? But yeah, that was the Oldham against Halifax, obviously, which Oldham came out 4-0 winners in that one, and that was their display. Look at that for a little display. That's absolutely brilliant, isn't it? It just shows football fans, got to be amongst the most creative of anything in the world for me. But another question that I wanted to put to both of you, and I'll come to you first on this one, Dan, because I'm sure you'll have you'll be able to bring us back down to earth with this one. Obviously, playoffs generally, the finals are played at Wembley, whether that be in the Football League or the National League. They're at Wembley as well, by the way. But the North and South aren't. Should they be?
We spoke about it last week a bit, really. I understand the prestige of a Wembley final for both teams, but all said and done, it's about giving your team the best possible chance to win the final, and the team that finished highest in the league should have the advantage of that. I mean, it's like we were speaking about MK Irish last season, weren't we? Finished 20 points clear of FC Romania. Now, although Romania did actually win at the Irish, can you imagine if that was a final and it was played on neutral territory? You know, I think there'll be a lot of what's the word? There'll be a lot of unrest in the fact that MK Irish and FC Romania will be playing on a level playing field in the final, despite what's gone on in the previous season. So, yeah, I think
it's done in every other league, though.
Yeah, I know it is. And it's done in other leagues, probably for that, mate.
Exactly.
What are your thoughts on that, Terry? You're obviously a non-league manager. You're in the North or South. Well, probably be the South geographically, of course. You get to the final. Do you want that day out, or do you want, if you've got the advantage, would you prefer to have that?
Well, you'd rather have the advantage, but it's a great day out for the players and the fans. But you, like Darren said, you've earned the right. You should be gaining that advantage. It's done for, obviously, it's financial reasons. I mean, years ago when the FA bought in FA Cup finals at Wembley, when they used to be at neutral grounds, probably closer to where the teams come from, but they got to travel all the way down to London, spend, if they are northern side, and years ago I know we had Liverpool, Man United get into cup finals all the time, so they're spending all their coin on getting down to London, overpricing for the tickets just for a day out at Wembley. And it is, it's not, it's a league. It's like I say, it's an FA Cup semi-final. It used to be at Hillsborough and Aston Villa. Now it's always down at Wembley. It's a financial thing from the FA.
Okay. I think, though, if you put that question to a Spennymoor fan or anybody involved with Spennymoor, coming right from up north, the northeast, obviously, as they did for non-league finals day, I don't think they'd be grumbling too much.
Yeah, but the difference is that's a cup competition, whereas we're talking about the playoffs, and the playoffs should reward the team that finishes higher.
Yeah.
No. But you made there was a broadened point made about obviously the financial aspect of the travel, etc., hiking the ticket prices for fans. I know one's a cup competition and one is a league-based competition, but it's the same for me. It's the same sort of element. There's the same sort of point to be made. I don't think anybody would have. I don't think any fans or any club would begrudge it for me.
Yeah, I can understand that point of view. Yeah, I just think playoff finals should reward the team that's finished the highest in the league. I do wonder, we're talking about Sheffield United and Sunderland. If you took a straw poll, I wonder what the Sheffield United fans would think. Another day out at Wembley, or home advantage in a final where it's much more convenient to travel to, less money expenditure. Yeah, I'd be really, really interested, actually, what the answer would be to that.
I'd want to go to Wembley all day long personally, but we'll put that out to those watching along. We'll put that out to the comments. Your club reached the playoff final. Would you rather it be your own ground if you managed to get that advantage, or would you have it down at Wembley? What do you value, the advantage or the day out? Everybody, I think, looks at it differently. But whilst we're on the subject of comments, we have got a couple. George Adnall's on. Oh, hello, George. Oh, yes, George. How you doing, mate? Tom, what a bloke. Great seeing him at Diamonds. Yeah, it was great to meet you down there, George. You do a top job, mate, for a young lad, obviously doing everything you do, mate. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Who else have we got there? Gareth's been on again. Some of the clubs didn't get those numbers when they were in the Football League. Good to see and hope they continue to go back. Yeah, 100%. I think that only strengthens the point that we make regular, that more and more people are gravitating towards non-league football now. So yeah, really, really good shout there, mate, on that one. Thank you. But look, we touched on it briefly there. Non-league finals day, obviously the FA Vase and Trophy. I was lucky enough to be there myself, only as a fan. Well, I say a fan. I sat in the neutral area, of course. And the wife decided she wanted to tag along as well and had a good day out. So it was a really, really good day all around. But I've got some footage from the Whitstable fans who were phenomenal, by the way. But they were all phenomenal. It was a really, really good day out. Just have a look at this at full time from the Whitstable fans. Yeah, top quality that was. And come on, get off that. Where has it gone now? There we go. You'd think Gary was presenting this, wouldn't you? There are the results there. Obviously, all the shots, all the shot and Spennymoor 3-0 all the shot there in the FA Trophy final, and the bit of footage that we watched there. AFC Whiteleaf 1, Whitstable Town 2. Attendance there 38,600 for non-league football, for non-league finals day. And honestly, from being there as a non-league fan, but taking somebody with me that wasn't, obviously she couldn't get over quite at the numbers that were there, because obviously when I'm coming back from matches, I'm saying, oh yeah, there was 500, there was 600, and then all of a sudden to be in a position where you're mixing with nigh on 40,000 people, and the fan zones, the Aldershot fan zone, by the way, we were in there with some Aldershot fans. I tell you what, it was brilliant. It was fantastic atmosphere. But what an advert for non-league football, Darren.
Yeah, just obviously the lead up to the trophy final, it was all about Spennymoor and a giant killing, but I believe that was Aldershot's first appearance at the stadium in 99 years. They've waited a long time, and they took home the spoils on their first attempt, so fair play to them. But I've not been to the non-league finals day before, and I've heard the criticism that sometimes when the Vase final ends in regulation time, there's quite a long wait. You're twiddling your thumbs a lot before the FA Trophy final. So, what was your experience, Tom? Because I know that the Vase went to extra time. How did the delay, the gap between two finals work out? How did you feel that time?
Well, you made the point there about obviously it going to extra time. So for me, those two kickoff times, when I looked at them initially, I said to my wife, I was like, oh, we're gonna have a bit of a bit of hanging around to do between the two games, sort of thing. But then when I looked at the time that the Vars final finished, it was sort of like vindication for that decision. To be honest, from the FA or from whoever made it, and like, well, we don't praise the FA very often, do we? For obvious reasons. But yeah, I think it was a good shout in the end for that reason. But yeah, if it finishes in normal time, then you are hanging around for a little bit. But you do have to take precautions in this life, and I think that was a justified one for that reason.
Yeah. Tell, have you ever been to a non-league finals day?
No, I haven't. No, Newport got there a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Loads of people from Milton Keynes went, but that's what you're hoping, that you have a good run in the cup, or you do well in the leagues, and you get them people come and watch you every week. Then, like you say, football fans are a bit fickle, but you're hoping if you can go to Wembley and take 20,000, surely you should be able to get 700, 800, 900, 1,000 people watch you every week.
Well, what's interesting, Tel, obviously now you're in step 4. I believe you're now eligible for the trophy. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, we're going to the trophy. We're not in the Vars anymore.
Yeah.
Or, I think years ago when I was playing, I think the Southern League was still in the FA Vars.
Yeah.
I think that's up until about 30 years ago. I think that changed. And now you're in the trophy, which really, you if you get through the first couple of rounds, you're playing some massive clubs. Like you see there some of the people in the trophy final.
Yeah.
Massive clubs.
Yeah, completely agree. But yeah, on the whole, like I say, from the perspective of a fan, it was a great day out. It was a brilliant day out. Walking down sort of Wembley Way, coming sort of past Box Park and all the rest of it. That's where the Aldershot fans had their fan zone. But we come out, obviously, you come out of Wembley Park tube station and you're at the top of the steps, and you're overlooking Wembley Way, and you can see the stadium right at the end of it. And it was just littered with people. It was just wall to wall sardines with people making their way to the ground. And when you come out and you have a look at it, I saw it, and I was sort of, I went, oh my God, wow. And it was just like, wow, that many people coming out for non-league football, especially when you consider their step 5 and 6 clubs that obviously play in that competition as well. It's just like, yeah, absolutely brilliant. But yeah, it was a top day on the whole, as I say. Want to move into
just one quick question.
Oh yeah,
Tom.
go on then.
Just one quick question, Tom. The losing Vars finalists, yeah. How many of their fans stayed behind to watch the trophy final? Percent.
Oh mate, it would be difficult to say. It would be difficult to say. Not too many. We were sort of bumping into them out and about later in the evening. So they stuck around in London, and they sort of enjoyed the most of their day, but not a huge percentage, mate. No, which is
understandable.
Understandable to a certain point. You consider it's their first appearance there. It was Whitstable's first appearance as well, so we were guaranteed a new winner of that competition, which is a massive positive in itself. But yeah, I can understand. If it was me, I probably would have scarpered as well. To be fair, nobody likes losing, do it, especially on your big day out. But there has to be a loser. But look, we've got one more thing to cover, and something that I just want to give a bit of time, certainly the time that it deserves. Now, we obviously had a chat about this earlier in the week, Darren. Truro, obviously huge promotion for them. They won their league this season on the final day. And I looked at a stat, actually, I didn't know this. They're the first team from Cornwall to go into the National League. If you didn't know that. And this time last year, they didn't actually have a ground of their own. So they were playing at a lot of different grounds. They were ground sharing. I think the longest trip that they did, from what I looked at, was 390-mile round trip to play at Gloucester City. They were forced out of their original home, Trey Road. That was sold, unfortunately, to developers, where they built a Lidl there, which while I'm laughing a little bit is not really any kind of laughing matter, is it? They were relegation candidates at the start of the season, so for them to sort of be that competitive on a pitch and go and win the league certainly in that dramatic fashion as well, last game of the season, wow. Did you follow that story at all, Terry? Are you aware of that at all, mate?
No, I know they won on the last game, but I didn't know they were travelling and playing at different grounds. No.
Not the season that they've just won the league. They've just gone back. They've just gone into a permanent home at the start of this season. But I think for the 3 seasons prior to that, they played at Taunton, They played Gloucester. Where else did they play? Go. You knew one, didn't you, Darren?
I can't. Yeah, Taunton, Gloucester. Oh, and I'm having trouble. Hopefully, someone will
Somebody
put
in
it
the
up.
comments. I can't remember.
Come on,
But
somebody.
yeah,
Come on, Gareth.
yeah, indeed. 390-mile round trip was what they were doing at one point
Yeah.
for a period of time. That is absolutely just
Midweek games as
midweek
well.
games.
Some midweek games.
Can you imagine that? You're obviously in the thick of things, Terry. What sort of effect and impact do you think that would have on the players and all the staff?
Well, I've played for clubs that didn't have their own ground. It's a nightmare. You've got nowhere to socialise after the game. Obviously, now you can't have a couple of beers because you've got 150 miles to drive home. It's madness. A mate of mine moved down to Cornwall a couple of years ago, and he said he was going to go and watch a local game 60 miles away. The local game, 60 miles.
Yeah, local game.
I know.
Oh
He said
God.
the local teams down there, they are travelling 80, 90 miles to play their local games. It's madness. But that's that part of the country. I know that happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, you don't get me wrong, geographically I understand it. But going all the way across to Gloucester City like that for them, God,
Yeah.
geez, that must have been so difficult. And they were relegation candidates at the start of this season as well, as we touched on. So for them to be that competitive on the pitch, push on and win the league, they won it. It was by 2 goals in the end, on the final day. Those are such are the fine margins in football. They now play at a 3,000 capacity Truro Community Stadium. So yeah, just so pleased for them. What do you reckon, Darren? That's one of non-league's feel-good stories of the year, surely.
Well, you've just stat attacked me because they're all the stats that I have. But yeah, fantastic. Because you're thinking on them dark nights, them Tuesday nights, and they've got to play a home match in Gloucester, and for someone to say to them, in 2 years' time, not only will you be in your own stadium, you'll be playing National League football. Absolutely incredible. They finished, obviously, the season before in 16th place. Like you said, they were one of the favourites for relegation this season just gone. And they've just, I think they've just crept up there unnoticed because there was a lot of talk, wasn't there? And a lot of focus on Dorking because of Mark White.
Yeah.
Worthing because of their chairman. Eastbourne. And yeah, Truro just quietly snuck in. A bit like Brackley from the National League North. And the 2 smaller clubs, have richly deserved their promotion. Fair play to them and good luck to them as well. Like Terry was saying, it's a part of the country where the teams are thinly spread. And I don't know now. Yeah, they're going to have trips to Gateshead, aren't they? Halifax and stuff like that. And that's really going to stretch their finances. So behind the scenes, I'm sure they're going to beavering away and trying to find a model which will best suit them that can keep them financially stable.
Well, yeah, you'd need to, wouldn't you? That is a long old way. That is at any level of football, of sport, or whatever you're looking at. That is a long old way to travel, to play, and then travel back. I don't know how. Well, obviously they'll find a way of managing it, of course, and that's down to the people within the club. But you called upon Gareth, Darren, and he has delivered. Plymouth Parkway was the original ground share. There you go.
That's it.
There we go. We can always rely on Gareth for some stats there, clearly. And we've got another comment there. Okay, Nick Paul has been on Wembley all day long. There you go, to go back to our debate about playoff finals and all the rest of it, cup finals. Where would you rather be as a fan? Nick Paul reckons Wembley all day long, and I share that, in fairness. But look, we're coming towards the back end of the show now, gentlemen. I think we've touched on some really, really good topics. But Terry, just want to come to you, mate. Just a final word from you, buddy. You're playing against my team, Northampton Town, in a pre-season friendly, I believe.
Yeah, we had a lad on work experience, or not really a loan. It's a work experience thing. End of last season, Harry Guest.
Yeah.
Yeah, came a very, very good player. He thought he was going to be released, and I think he has been released. But he's a very good young player. He's only 17 at the minute, but he can definitely play. And through him coming on work experience and done well with us, that sort of paved the way for us to get a friendly with Northampton. I think I'm not sure if it'd be their under 18s or under 21s. But whatever it is, we're expecting a decent game. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I think myself and Darren are going to try and join you for that one, especially obviously myself being a Cobblers fan. That'll be nice to come and see some of our younger prospects play at your place, mate. So yeah, we'll hopefully be joining you for that one, buddy. A couple of more comments for the England. Okay, we're not gonna share that one. Isaac L Hunt, thank you very much. Gareth, what are you popping in with there, mate? It's been documented, but Truro to Carlo. Yeah, Jesus Christ, that's another one, isn't it? Right up to the Scottish borders, more or less that, isn't it? Carlisle, Cumbria way. Jeez, man. Yeah, but equally, people have got to go. I know it's obviously a lot harder for Truro because they're the ones doing a lot of the travelling. But equally, people have got to go down there, haven't they? So yes, I don't know who's going to be more frustrated about being in the league, them or everybody else.
Yeah, it's the problem with success, isn't it? With because obviously all the league allocations have come out today, and I know there's a few unhappy teams. There's a few teams like Didcot, for example, in Oxfordshire. They're placed in a league where they've got to go down into Dorset, Devon, wise, and they're not happy about that. They've put an appeal in, and they've already said, look, if it's unsuccessful, they might have to drop down a division, which is a shame, isn't it? Because when you go to a club, I'm sure Terry will probably back me up on this. You want the club to have a bit of ambition to keep going forwards. And if a club, Kelly's touched on it before, hasn't he? I think he was at a non-league club, and they told him outright that they didn't want to get promoted because it cost too much.
I can understand it. Victim of your own success, as you say. But look, gents, I'm going to bring the show to a close now. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's tuned in, especially those in the comments. And a special shout to Gareth, our self-appointed statistician. Thank you very much for your input, buddy, and everybody else as well. Terry, thank you very much for joining us, my friend. And I'll just come to you, Darren. Is there any final words from you, sir, before we close?
I'm finding myself a bit of a loose end now that the non-league season is over. Obviously, the FA Cup finals on Saturday. Good luck to Crystal Palace.
Yes.
But I just don't have the same enthusiasm over it like I always used to. Like Tel said much earlier in the podcast, far too much football on TV now, so it kind of like takes away a bit of the appeal.
Yeah, I think it runs a bit thin, doesn't it? At the end of the day, it runs a bit thin, and you like to see cup finals, but they're trying to make every game a massive game. And not football's football, and they're not all good games. You watch some are terrible, but it's not for the fans. For the fans of that club that's in that game, they're as excited as they're ever going to be.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah.
Depends what tickles your fancy. But look, gents, we'll bring that to a close here. Thanks again to everybody that watched along. We'll be back on hopefully next Thursday at 7 with some more top topics for you guys. So yeah, catch us then. And as I say, whatever you do, enjoy your football, be safe, and we will see you when we see you. Thank you very much.
Stay on, Tel.
Thank you.